A very warm welcome to Africa Good Morning, a show that keeps you abreast with the latest happenings across the continent and beyond every weekday morning. My name is Aina Raizakweo. In today's broadcast, prominent personalities and allies of President Talon accused of plotting a coup. Measles outbreak declared in Nensa after 33 confirmed cases. Africa faces hurdles in getting permanent seats at the United Nations. You can follow all our programs on our website, which is called oneupto.com, or DSTV 285 in Namibia, as well as GoTV 25. Later on the show, we do have Master Mike Sichula on the show, who's going to fill us in on the news making waves in Zambia. We'll be right back.
Entries are now open for the second round of Republicane's Bridal Couple of the Year competition. Couples married between 1 June and 31 August have until 30 September of this year to enter the second round of the competition. Another one of the top 10 couples will be chosen from this pool to participate in the final, taking place in May 2025. To better your chance of reaching the final, enter now. To enter, simply WhatsApp #Bridal2025 to 085 785 6231 and follow the on-screen instructions or scan this QR code.
In our top story this morning, banknotes stuffed in suitcases totaling 1,500 million CFAs to finance a coup in Benin. That's according to a special prosecutor. The arrest of prominent personalities close to the regime was announced on Wednesday. Among those allegedly involved are former sports minister Oswald Homke and the commander of Benin's Presidential Guard. The alleged coup was to take place on the 27th of September. Starting from August the 6th, those concerned opened a bank account at the NSIA Bank Côte d'Ivoire, with the commander of the Republican Guard being the beneficiary. Special prosecutor Mario Montenu said a proof of opening was sent to him with an initial balance of 105 million CFA franc. The mastermind is allegedly Oliver Bako, a wealthy businessman and ally of President Patrice Talon. Moving over to our next story. This is coming to you from Brazil, from Mozambique rather. Missile outbreak declared in Nensa after 33 confirmed cases. The health authorities in Sofala, in the center of Mozambique, have declared a missile outbreak in the village of Nensa in the district of Marenumo after registered 33 cases of the disease. An official source said, "We have a cumulative total of 33 cases, all of which are outpatient cases. There have been no serious cases, no hospitalization, no deaths," he said. Julita Fernando, health director of the district Maremu, quoted by media today. According to the official, the first case of missile was registered in a newborn on the 5th of September in a town of Nensa, which led the authorities to conduct screening for the disease. We are also carrying out prevention and vaccination. We have mobile brigades and now are isolating Nensa to stop the spread of the disease. This story is coming to you from Al Jazeera, and it says that New York city mayor charged with taking bribes, illegal campaign funds. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been charged with bribery and taking illegal campaign contributions from foreign sources, an unsealed indictment has revealed, throwing the United States' largest city government into turmoil. In a 5-court indictment on Thursday, Adam was charged with crimes such as conspiracy, wire fraud, and bribery. Prosecutors have accused him of offering favors and influence in exchange for luxury travel and airline benefits. Adam has denied the allegations, saying that it's an unfortunate day and it's a painful day, the mayor said during the news conference. But inside all of that is a day when we will finally reveal why for 10 months I've gone through this, and I look forward to defending myself. The 57-page indictment alleges that Adams, a former police officer, solicited and demanded bribes and accepted various travel benefits from Turkish businessmen and government officials. In exchange, he allegedly pressured city officials to waive safety inspections for a 36-story Turkish diplomatic facility. Moving over to our next story, Africa faces hurdles in getting permanent seats at the UN. The 79th UN General Assembly in New York is happening on the heels of a recent U.S. announcement that it would support the creation of 2 new permanent seats for African countries and a non-permanent seat for small island developing nations. However, those with permanent seats and veto power, such as Russia and China, the US, UK, and France, might be reluctant to share it, writes Anthony van Nieuwkerk, a professor of international and diplomacy studies at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs in South Africa. Another hurdle is that Africa remains divided on the basis of region, language, and culture, he said. As a result, the continent struggles to speak with one voice on critical matters such as peace and security, the priority of the UN security agenda. Nieuwkerk wrote he urged African nations not to view the offer by the West for Africa to take up a seat as an act of benevolence, but a strategic calculation to counter the growing impact of Russia and China on global affairs. And in our final story, this one comes from South Africa, where Free State Education implements cuts to save teachers' job. The Free State Department of Education says it has committed to immediately implementing cost containment measures designed to ensure that no educator loses their job. This follows the recent announcement regarding budget cuts by the National Department of Basic Education. Provincial Department spokesperson Howard Ndaba says that they will prioritize the education of learners while ensuring their livelihoods of educators are protected. He says that they will have minimized avoidable expenses such as non-essential travel, conference, and other administrative expenditures. Meanwhile, Basic Education Minister Siviwe Ngwarube says the education sector is facing a financial crisis and under immense pressure. Ngwarube says 7 provinces will not be able to cover their annual expenses in the next 4 years unless measures are proactively taken to mitigate this risk. After the break, we bring you news from Zambia with Master Mike Sichula. Stay around.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
It's time for us to cross over to Zambia, where Master Mike Sichula has the news on the ground ready for us to dissect. Master Sichula, how are you doing this morning?
I'm very well, thank you. And good morning to you, and good morning to our African viewers.
No, we are doing fantastic. It's raining in Namibia and it's just a glorious morning. But moving on to news from Zambia, we understand that Master Edgar Lungu's lawyers are asking the judges to be removed from handling his case. Why is that?
You are absolutely right. So this is in a matter where a Lusaka businessman, Michero Chizoba, has sought the court's determination on whether or not Mr. Edgar Lungu was eligible to contest the 2021 general elections. So so this case came up yesterday, and when the matter came up yesterday, Mr. Edgar Lungu, through his defense lawyers, one of whom is Makebi Zuru, sought a complaint that Constitutional Court judges, President Justice Munalula, Justice Mwetwa, and Justice Kavwimbe should be voluntarily recused themselves from the case owing to strong reasons and their close relationships with President Hichilema. So President Lungu is arguing that these judges must be removed. But before this case, President Hakainde Hichilema also suspended 3 Constitutional Court judges after he received recommendation from the Judicial Complaints Commission. So this matter could not go ahead yesterday because of these complaints that I've just indicated. So the Constitutional Court has since adjourned this matter to the 3rd of October, which is next week. But before that, Attorney General Muliro Kabesha opposed the application to adjourn the hearing. Mr. Kabesha argued that the application for the recusal of the 3 judges must not affect the proceedings. So in this matter, it's a highly contested matter because Mr. Edgar Lungu, who lost the elections in 2021 to Mr. Hichilema, is vying to recontest the 2026 general elections. So this matter has attracted a lot of attention and division in Zambia because others are saying this matter has already been attended to by the courts, the highest constitutional court in Zambia, more than 3 times. Why is it still coming back? Because for the past 4 times, this matter has been ruled in favor of Mr. Lungu. So why should the matter change now when there's a new administration? So we are yet to see what will happen.
All right, interesting times in Zambia. Another interesting factor is that Zambia will participate in the 12th Brazil-Africa Forum. Tell us about that.
Yes, Zambia is among countries participating at the 12th Brazil-African Forum, which will be held in Sao Paulo from 14th to 15th October 2024. So the forum is aimed at stimulating partnership between Brazil and Zambia and other regions, particularly in infrastructure investment and sustainable development. So the program will be held under the theme Infrastructure Investment to Boost Sustainable Development in Brazil and Africa. So in the past years, Zambia and Brazil have forged bilateral relationships in the areas of agriculture and manufacturing. So it is expected that during this summit forum, Zambia is going to enhance its partnership with Brazil and other countries that will be represented at the forum. As you know, President Hakainde Hichilema is moving the agenda of economic transformation, and he believes there can never be economic transformation where there is no stability, and there can never be no economic transformation diplomacy if countries are not speaking to each other.
All right, definitely agree with that. The government will set up a gold processing plant in central Zambia to address the smuggling of the minerals. Tell us about this.
So this is according to the Ministry of Mines that has identified Mumbwa district, which is in central Zambia, as a key area with potential to contribute to the country's gold reserves. So government has since bought a processing plant which will be set up in the area in order to monitor the retail value chain of gold being extracted from the mines. So Mines Permanent Secretary Hapenga Kabeta says the development is likely to curb the smuggling of gold from Mumbwa and other districts where gold has been discovered out of the country. As you can see from that picture, those are makeshift tools that locals have been using in many districts where gold has been discovered to extract gold. And in some cases, the country has witnessed some fatalities because the earth could collapse on them because they lack safety in terms of how to go about the mining activities of gold. And also because of lack of proper processing plants, a lot of foreign nationals have invaded some of these mines across the country, and the gold is freely being exchanging hands in terms of money with the locals, and this gold is actually being smuggled out of the country without paying relevant, appropriate taxes. So it is expected that once this is done, then Zambia is going to address illegal and smuggling of gold.
All right, Master Sichula, finally, I understand the police are supposed to protect the Measles, right? A woman dumps a baby at the police officer's house for protection, I'm assuming, and she gets arrested. Tell us about this. What's happening?
So this case in Chingola, police apprehended a woman who dumped 2 babies at the police officer's house. So according to Copperbelt Police Commanding Officer Piso Mwemba, says police apprehended a woman who is likely to be charged for child desertion after formalities are concluded. Mr. Mwemba said the suspect wanted the babies to be taken to an orphanage because she could not afford to take care of them. This is what police have said. However, there are also other strong indications that members of the public want police to disclose. Could it be that the same police officer might have fathered the 2 babies, such that she, instead of just going to the orphanage herself, she decided to take these babies at the police officer's house? Why did she take the children at the police officer's house and not at the police station? So this is something that members of the public, once this story broke out, have been questioning, but police have remained tight-lipped because, according to them, their officer is not the responsible father for the 2 babies. So this case has actually drawn wide criticism from members of the public, and police have not actually even disclosed the footage of the woman and the children, and including the same officer. The same officer where these babies were dumped. So it is an interesting piece of story because a lot of questions remain unanswered.
A very strange story indeed. We will be looking forward to an update. Well, at least I'm interested in this story. Master Sichula, thank you so much for bringing us the stories from Zambia.
Thank you very much. It was good to see you. Africa, good morning to our dear viewers. Have a lovely weekend.
A lovely weekend we will have indeed, and part of that will be a part of a contributing factor to us having a lovely weekend is definitely the weather. Have a look. In our economic news this morning, the Bahamas seek help to pay off debt brought by huge storms. The Bahamas is stuck in a financial pickle, much of it because of the whims of climate change, bureaucracy, and the fossil fuel industry, said its Prime Minister, who added that he is tired of promises of help but little action. Like many other countries in the global south of Bahamas, the Bahamas has had a lot of debt, warming connected weather disasters. Its leader says it did little to the cause. In 2019, Hurricane Dorian, the strongest storm to hit Bahamas on the record, cost $3.4 billion in damage. By comparison, the country's annual revenue is only $2.8 billion to $2.9 billion a year. Davis said, so just 4 days wiped out more than a year's worth of revenue. The country is now in debt by about $10 billion. Its leaders are seeking more help, more money from the global north and oil companies themselves. Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis said in an interview with the Associated Press. Moving over to our next economic stories, NHI Act, unanswered questions call for transparency. The demand for the transparency around the National Health Insurance Act is intensifying as there are still many unanswered questions, such as how it will be funded and where the health professionals to render the healthcare service will come from. The passage of the NHI bill into an act of law set the stage of one of the most significant overhauls of South Africa's healthcare system. Craig Comrie, chairperson of the Health Funders Association, says, as the government embarks on this ambitious plan as the government embarks on this ambitious plan, the stakes have never been higher. The NHI Act is more a mere piece of legislation. It is a test of constitutional rights and the nation's commitment to fostering more inclusive and equitable society. Corey says the HFA welcomes the meeting between President Cyril Ramaphosa and Business Unity South Africa leadership to discuss the NHI last week as a positive step. And now let's take a look at our economic indicators. Stay tuned as Ari Hohad brings us the sports package.
sports news, and starting off with soccer news from England. It is the Europa League that continued, and it is a similar competition to the FA Cup, and it was Arsenal and Liverpool having home games. Arsenal first, they beat Bolton by 5-1. Comprehensive win for them. It was Declan Rice that scored early, and also 2 goals from Ethan Nwaneri, and he scored 2 goals for Arsenal in that comfortable win. It was also Liverpool that played at home, a similar score. It was also 5-1 that they beat West Ham, and it was Cody Gakpo that scored 2 late goals in the 90th and 93rd minute to make it 5-1, and earlier also Diogo Jota that scored twice, 25th and the 49th minute. So lots of goals in both games, Arsenal and Liverpool in the Europa League. This coming weekend, both of them in action in the English Premier League. It will be a 4 p.m. kickoff for Arsenal at home against Newcastle, and then it will be a 6:30 p.m. kickoff time, Namibian time, for Liverpool. That is a away game to Wolverhampton. The leader in the English Premier League still Manchester City, and they've got an away game to Newcastle, and that will be the first game of the weekend. That will be a 1 p.m. kickoff time. Moving on to tennis news, it is a China Open that starts. All of the top players, most of the top players in the world, they playing in the China Open, strong field, men and women. On the women's side first, Naomi Osaka, a former major champion, she beat Lucia Bronzetti 6-3 and 6-2. Also Naomi Osaka in the news because she changed coaches, and she's got a new coach in Patrick Muratoglu, and he used to coach Serena Williams. So it's a strong acquisition for the team of Naomi Osaka. She will next play Julia Patitseva. The number 1 seed in the women's division in the tournament is Aryna Sabalenka. Then also it is Jessica Pegula. That's the number 2 seed in the tournament. On to the men's side of the draw, and number 1 seed is Yannick Sinner. He's from Italy, also the world number 1, and he will play Nicolas Jardé in the first round. Strong field in the men's division as well. Number 2 seed in the tournament is Spain's Carlos Alcaraz, and then also Daniel Medvedev. He's a number 3 seed. Closing off today's international sports news with motor racing news, Formula 1 news, and not good news for Red Bull. They're losing yet another important member of their team. It is their strategy chief, that is Will Courtenay, that will leave the Red Bull team, and he will join the McLaren team as their sporting director. Big loss again for Red Bull. They earlier also lost the services of Adrian Newey, and they're not doing well at the moment. Max Verstappen still leading the points table, but it was McLaren that won some of the last races in the Formula 1. So the news there, it is Red Bull that lost their strategy chief, Will Courtenay, moving to McLaren. And that's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Let's have a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. Prominent personalities and allies of President Talon accused of plotting a coup. Measles outbreak declared in Nensa after 33 confirmed cases. New York City mayor charged with taking bribes, illegal campaign funds. Africa faces hurdles in getting permanent seats at the UN.